there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Silver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. In the first hour of the broadcast, I'm going to give you content, information for better sex, more money, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice, more strategies and gambits for having it all. The second hour is what I'm most excited about. It's when I get a chance to chat with you. Yes, you. Where you can call in, talk to me, ask me questions. And if you say the secret word of the day, you could win $5,000 cash. At the very least, if you're the most interesting call of the day, you could also win 10 ounces of freshly minted Marshall Silver 999 Fine Silver. All of that and more. Brand new Mercedes-Benz sedan or SUV up for grabs. My personal Rolls-Royce Phantom up for grabs. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information about its release coming up. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. I'm Marshall Silver, your personal millionaire maker.
Let me bring in our hypnotist, Marshall Silver.
It's Marshall Silver, ladies and gentlemen, the world's fastest hypnotist.
Hey there. It is a glorious day filled with love, health, opportunity, and potential. So glad to have you with us. We are, it's tax day. And tax day is always a fascinating time, only because it's fascinating. Why is it fascinating? It's fascinating because we didn't used to pay taxes. And a lot of people don't know this. We didn't pay taxes because there was no reason to pay taxes, as there's really no reason to pay taxes now. Somebody posted the other day, and I loved what they said. If the government can print as much as they possibly want, what in the heck do we pay taxes for? Good question. The fact of the matter is that when the folks met at Jekyll Island and decided to create the Federal Reserve, part of the process was figuring out a way that the government didn't have to pay for certain things that the government would normally pay for. People say, no, we got to pay taxes because of streets. We got to pay taxes because of the police departments and everything else. True. Yes, those things have to be paid for. They don't have to be paid for with income tax. There's plenty of other taxes. You're taxed on the income that you make. You're taxed on any purchases that you make. You're taxed on the property you already bought with the taxes that you paid money on already. You're taxed when you die. It never ends. So income tax is one of those things that doesn't need to be for us to exist, yet here we are again. So how do we make changes? Well, you play the game properly. And we're about to get into today's show. I just wanted to talk a bit about this because it was on my mind. You play the game differently. We live in Nevada. Las Vegas, Nevada is my home, and Nevada does not have state income tax. And because it does not have state income tax, we live there. And with the money I save on state income tax, am able to fund the lifestyle that I want. Number one, having a big, beautiful 17,000 square foot palace in Las Vegas with the tax savings. Number two, paying for a house on the beach with the tax savings. Number three, flying back and forth, mostly in private jets with the tax savings, all because we structured that in the way that we structured that. Now, taking it one step further, I've got a lot of friends who base their businesses out of places like Puerto Rico. And one of my friends in particular has a tax rate in Puerto Rico on a federal level of about 2 to 3%. Well, that's a lot less than the 34% the majority of us pay in federal tax. So now he's keeping the majority of his money. Yes, he does have to live in Puerto Rico, except I can think of a lot of worse places to live. So today's show is all about putting your ducks in the proper order. It's all about strategy. Today's show is specifically about strategy and sanity, not vanity. Our guest today, Shannon Decker, combines her incredible athleticism and keen business sense to stand out as a truly inspiring coach with a big heart. She's known for her real talk, her optimism, her courage, and they're all aimed at helping you, yes, you, achieve your biggest fitness dreams. Shannon takes us through her own journey from athlete to sought after fitness instructor and savvy entrepreneur. She's going to spill the secrets that have fueled her ability to lift others up on their quest for health and happiness. So, whether you're just starting out on your fitness path, whether you're looking for that extra push to break through those barriers, or just curious about blending an athletic passion with your business, Shannon's stories and free spirit are sure to light a fire within you. A nice big Marshall Silver welcome to Shannon Decker. Welcome, Shannon. Glad you're on the show. Glad to have you with me. Welcome home. You are muted. I'm not able to hear you. Well, you look awesome. I wish I was where you were. And let me see what tech challenge we got going on. How's that? Let me see. Check 1, 2. Test check 1, 2. Sterling, can you hear me on the stream? Can you hear her? So we cannot hear you in the studio for some reason. I'm going to have you, if it's okay with you, I'm going to remove you and bring you back in. So let me see what we can do there. I'm excited for this conversation. That is for sure. And let's see. How's that? Nope. Still no connection on the audio. We're seeing you. Hmm. Let's check. If you don't mind, Shannon, I'm going to have you log out and log back in. Let's see if that works. The beauty of doing live, you never know what's going to happen when you're doing a live event. One of the lessons that I definitely think people need to learn is to deal with what emerges. We're going to talk today after our guest about rehearsing, reviewing, and revising, about the constant state of flux that our lives are in, whether it's our relationships, whether it's our health, whether it's our finance. So this is a classic example of what we were going to talk about anyway. So life is good. Hey, as you're getting settled into the Marshall Silver Show, Shannon will be back here in a moment. Excited to have her on the show. In the meantime, if you're in the chat, uh, let me know if there's any questions that you would like me to ask Shannon during today's show, and we will go from there. Yeah, just go ahead and put your questions there in the chat. Let's see. By the way, if you are logged in today, we have $11,000 up for grabs as our secret word of the day is concerned. If you call in the second portion of the show and you are one of our favorite guests, if people vote on you and say you're the most interesting guest we had on the air, then as you know, you could potentially also win 10 ounces of pure Marshall silver. That's all you got to do is log in. Hey, while we're working out with Shannon, let me talk about that topic of rehearse, review, revise. A lot of times people are afraid to put out anything. And I'm not talking just about content on social media or a show like this. People are afraid to go out and do anything because they're afraid it's going to suck in the beginning. What, little action I can take right now isn't going to necessarily pay out. And the bottom line on everything in our life just not being enough. Well, I say fail forward fast, put out crap, and then put out crap 2.0. As you fail forward fast, the best thing you can possibly do is just pay attention to the results that you're getting. And if you're not getting the results that you want to get, you adjust. You don't adjust everything. You don't completely reinvent the wheel every single time that you do something. You stop, you pause, and you say, you know what? This is a process. So let's check back in the green room and see if Shannon is back in the green room. Let's see if her audio is working properly. I see Sterling's on it. So good job. You keep that up. In the meantime, I got a text message from somebody over the weekend. They were asking me a question, and I said that would be a really great question to ask me on the air. So while we're getting everything situated technically, let me go ahead and read. And they asked to remain anonymous. I said that I would go ahead and read their question, but their question was real simple. It said, My husband and I have been together for a long time, and when we first met, everything was awesome. And by a long time, I mean at least we've been together for 5 years, married for 2 years. When we got married, things changed. And suddenly, he wasn't interested in sex as often as I was interested in sex. When I confronted him on this, he said, I really thought it was just dating passion. And that after we got settled into a life as a couple and a married couple, that the desire for sex in you would go away. At this point, I'm always frustrated. He always feels overwhelmed, and it's creating overwhelming tension in our relationship. And then they signed their name. And then in a PS, they said, I want sex every single day. He's happy with sex once a week. What should we do? Well, that's a great question. And it's a great question that, frankly, should have been answered. And should is what isn't. We got to deal with what is. Should have been answered before you guys got married. The fact that it wasn't answered before you got married, I want to address all things. Now, if you are this couple listening, by all means, I'd love to get you on the air. If I'm missing some details, which I likely am from a short text message question, then I would love to have more substance, more information to answer it more efficiently. So I'm going to do the very best I can on a very limited amount of information. First and foremost, your husband lied. They just flat out lied. They misrepresented themselves without telling you what was really going on. And the fact that they withheld the concept or the idea that their appetite was substantially less than they were portraying it when you agreed to marry them, that's suspect. And that's not only suspect, that's devious. I've been in that circumstance, so I know. I was engaged to a woman, and when we met, our sex life was amazing, and we had great passion together. It was extremely satisfying. And then I asked her to marry me. And when I asked her to marry me, she said yes. We started planning the wedding. And almost immediately after I made the request to get married, our intimate life completely changed. And what was a daily experience of intimacy turned into me begging for 2 hours every single day, and then ultimately her not being interested in her own satisfaction, okay with satisfying me and doing that, except eventually it got to be kind of disgruntled. And so my response to that is unmet needs will get met. If you are in a passionless relationship, or if you're in a relationship where the passion isn't equal, meaning the two of you don't have the same amount of desire, then yeah, there's going to be a challenge. Now, that said, there's plenty of relationships where one person has a bigger appetite than the other. The spouse realizes unmet needs get met. Find a way to meet that need, meaning it doesn't have to be shared intimacy. It could be oral, it could be manual, it could be some kind of intimate relationship, but still there's a satisfaction in that. My own personal relationship, I tend to believe that my appetite is slightly bigger than my wife's. Yet my wife also realizes that there's a trade off in all things. And so rather than being upset with me because I have this incredible desire for her, she instead has realized that she can give me attention without getting attention herself. So, and find great joy in that, find great joy in being the woman that I have that massive desire for, while at the same time also having the sense to recognize that if she leaves me frustrated all the time, those unmet needs get met. So waste a little bit of time answering a question from a text message to make sure that we are set on our stream. Sterling, can you give me a thumb up or thumbs down? Is Shannon back in the green room? Are we good or not? So we're not. Okay, we're having some technical challenges, so I'll keep going to that. Let me see. It says the link to Studio Money isn't working. I see Crystal put out a question. What's the greatest learning experience that she found to be life changing? That certainly is for Shannon. Let me go back and see if there's any questions for me. I've got someone in the chat. They're indirectly asking a question, and I know that they are going through some challenges right now. They asked the question: we're always vulnerable to things when they go wrong, and what do we do to confidently pivot and adjust on the fly? Good question. One of the things that I know is that many years ago I was going through massive challenge in my own life. I was being attacked by the government for something that I hadn't done. I was being threatened with 27 years in prison for something that I hadn't done. Yet, if you are in the United States, you know that you are guilty until proven innocent. And we've got a great country relative to other countries of the world. I was in a marriage that was not working out. I was in the midst of a divorce. I'd been married for 11 months. The divorce was taken 4.5 years. I was dating the girlfriend from hell who was not only cheating on me on a regular basis, she was also literally stealing from me. Because I was so distraught, I didn't realize that my housekeeper was stealing from me. My general manager, because we were making so much money, was not only my general manager, she was my bookkeeper. She was embezzling millions of dollars. I was depressed. I didn't want to go on. And finally, one day, I realized that I was just exhausted and I didn't know how to deal with my life. And I prayed to God. I said, God, give me an answer. And the God that I prayed to, my higher power gave me very specific answer. God said, deal with one fire at a time. Fire the housekeeper, fire the general manager, of course, fire the girlfriend, go into court and tell the soon to be ex-wife, I'll pick a number already. We're only married for 11 months. This divorce has taken 4.5 years. You pick a number, I'm not paying any more spousal support. And one by one, we put out those fires one at a time. It wasn't easy. It wasn't fun. But I'll tell you what, I sure did learn a whole lot of lessons. So when your life is not going the way that you want it to go, ask yourself the question, what is my life attempting to teach me? How will I adjust my own behavior so I never have to come back to that experience again? And how will I be a better person and see this as a blessing rather than a curse and simply let it be? It looks like we have the awesome Shannon Decker back in the green room. So let's take another shot at this and see how it goes. Adding to this. Yes, I heard you already.
You heard me already? Okay, good.
There
I was
you are.
computer, so
Hey, life is good. Welcome home. Glad you're here.
thank you. Welcome home is
Where are you
appropriate.
calling in from?
Yeah, so that's appropriate. I just moved back from New York City to LA.
Lovely. Well,
Yeah.
you're back on the West Coast. How cool is that? What city in LA are you in?
What area you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm in Echo Park.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's
So
very
so so so
go ahead.
welcome to the show. Obviously, you have a huge following on social media. You have done a lot in your life. So that everybody else knows about you, can you give us a little bit of background?
Yeah, so I heard your intro. Thank you for that. So sweet. And I could have listened to you talk about money stuff in the back room, in the green room. I'm like, I'm good. I'll just listen. But
I love it.
yeah, so I am a personal trainer. I have been for 10 years, and I have kind of a cool backstory leading up to how I got into this business. I love it so much. I have the coolest clients and able to make a good living doing what I love. So it doesn't get much better than that.
I would agree. So you've been a personal trainer, you said, for about 10 years.
Hmm.
And that's not an easy field. I mean, that's a tough field to excel in, and obviously, you are one of the best of the best. What makes you different than so many other people out there attempting to be a big hit inside of that field?
Yeah, I think I can finally admit to both of those things that it is a tough field to break into and to excel within. It's just highly saturated these days, I think. And prior to that, it was pretty male dominated, the fitness scene. And secondly, that I am a very good personal trainer and very proud of that, and I can stand on that. But for me, I have noticed that the personal part of personal training is very important in order to be successful in this industry. So everybody is so unique. It's not a one size fits all situation, and you really have to cater to each individual client. And I think that's one of the keys. I think people get intimidated by the anatomy or the, the technical part of things, but it's all kind of the same. You have to, once you know that part, and you become an expert at those things. And obviously there's continuous lifelong learning, but if you can dial in how to connect with each individual person and get them what they need in order to hit their goals and be successful with you, then that's the key.
I know both are important, and this is everything I'm asking you today is personal questions on my
Okay.
part. So you know, I,
Okay.
I went through I went through open heart surgery about 2 years ago,
Oh, wow.
and praise God I'm alive, and thank you for that.
Hmm.
The thing is though is that after the open heart surgery, I gained 45 pounds in 30 days. I
Wow.
gained 15 additional pounds in the next 30 days, so I was 60 pounds up in 60 days, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And
Hmm.
although I've gotten a bit of a handle on it, not everything. They put me on diuretics. They thought I was having some other challenges. My own belief is, I've said this to my wife for the last 2 years since my open heart surgery. I said I think something shifted in my body. I think my metabolism took a massive shift, and I'm not able to figure it out. So the first question I have for you, and these are all silly questions, I'm sure, to you being the
They're
expert that
not
you
silly.
are.
No, no.
The question I have is, what's more important in my process of losing fat, diet or exercise?
So I would like to say exercise because of my industry, but diet is definitely the number one most important thing. It doesn't matter how much you're working out. You cannot negate a poor diet. You cannot outrun a poor diet, literally. For you, I know it's a broad term, but you went through major surgery, and what happens after major surgery is a lot of inflammation in the body. And like you hear that thrown around a lot, like, oh, you're probably inflamed or this or that. But to me, I think the world we live in now, we just want these instant results and we think we're just going to get right back to it. But that is like really, really intense what you went through. So seems to me like your body maybe didn't shift, but it's kind of revolting where it's like, heal me, rest me. I need more time to kind of feel safe again, with your central nervous system and such a intense surgery. So I would, if I were you, kind of focus on like walking, healthy diet, you know, do your blood work and see what you're missing within that. Maybe you need to take more vitamin D or more magnesium. Most people do. So it sounds to me like your body is just like really wanting to heal itself. And that definitely starts with our diet and sleep and water and then exercise. Like, I know it seems pretty like straightforward, but so many people skip past those basics. And so they'll come to me and they're like, I want to lose 10 pounds and I want to work out every day and twice a day. And I'm like, slowly find out they're not drinking any water. Their sleep habits are trash. Their diet is horrible. So I'm like, okay, let's peel it back and start with those things first and then figure out the exercise part of it.
You mentioned water a couple of times just now, and I know that I don't drink enough water. I'm positive I don't drink enough water. How important is water to the overall process of the body? Of course, we need it, but as somebody that wants to lose weight, get more fit, could their lack of drinking enough water be major in their process of not losing fat?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple things that come along with that, right? So I think that if you're not drinking water, you just don't feel good. If you don't feel good, you're not going to have energy to be motivated to go out and exercise and, you know, have it, just the energy to live a good life. It affects your mood. Like if you're dehydrated, you're in a bad mood most of the time. There's a lot of different things biologically that go on with not drinking enough water. Then on top of that, if you're not drinking enough water, you're probably wanting other things. So maybe you're drinking soda, maybe you're drinking coffee, maybe your body thinks that it's hungry, but actually it's thirsty. So there's just a lot more negative things that come along with not drinking water. And it's so easy to remedy. So for me, actually not that great at drinking water either because I get so busy. Like, so say I have like 6 clients in a row, I'm focused on them. I'm not focused on my own well-being, and all of a sudden I'm just like, realize how thirsty I am. So I like to have like, one of the containers with a straw, you fill it up every day and it's just easy. You can grab. So there's a lot of different like routines you can implement that'll help you remedy that. Like do you have a water bottle next to you right now?
Oh, hell no.
Okay,
No,
that's your
completely
homework.
busted. I mean,
I'm
I'm
gonna,
what you just described.
you know what you should do is brand them, right? So you should do it for your cool logo you have. You should brand
Yeah,
it, and then every time you take a sip, it's like free marketing for you.
I like it. I like your style. Hey, I know you train a lot of celebrities. Is there anybody that you can share with that you've worked out with, and who was great, and who was quirky or anything like that?
Yeah, of course. So I'm in LA. There's a lot of celebrities here. And then, for my business, a lot of it is word of mouth. So obviously celebrities, are in the public eye and they have to be able to trust you because most of the time I'm going to their home. So that's a big part of being successful also is being trustworthy and, being able to be cool and chill around celebrities. So gosh, some of my personal favorites that I trained for years and years and years. One of my good friends, Jordana Brewster from Fast and the Furious. She's amazing. She really embodies for the sanity, not the vanity. She has an incredible body, but she's just so dedicated to her health and wellness. It's really cool to see. So she'll get up and run 3 miles, usually most mornings on her treadmill, and then she'll see a trainer 3 to 4 times a week. She goes to Pilates. So that's really cool. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I have trained Dennis Haysbert. He is a big actor. You've seen him in lots of movies. But he is the Allstate guy, you're in good hands. So he has people recognize his voice a lot before they see him in the gym. He's just the most down to earth guy. And he's a little bit older, but you would not know it. Like we work a lot on his mobility. He's 6'4". He's always working, always traveling. He also lives in Vegas with you, just recently. So yeah, so there's a lot of, I've trained like the big ones, trained John Mayer, Pusha T, so who else? Nate Berkus in New York, Ashley Graham in New York. So, it's just part of their lifestyle. They have to look good, but they also need to feel good because they're busy. They have their hands in a lot of things, a lot of celebrities. So they have one thing I see across the board is they make a routine, they make it a priority and they make a routine no matter where they are. Ashley will go to Fashion Week and then come home for one night. We'll make sure that sometimes I'll spend the night, and I'll train her at night and then train her again in the next morning. And then she's on a plane again after that, so I'll find her trainers in Paris to kind of talk to them about what we're working on. So they are dedicated and it's really cool to see their consistency.
How old are you?
I just turned 40.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wanted people to know because, as you know, you could pass for low to mid 20s. So
It's the overalls and the no makeup.
it's the glow. It's just the glow. And my bride is 38. And oftentimes people, I mean, think she's 21. And again, she's the epitome of health. Ironically, my other half is just the opposite of me. This woman is incredibly healthy. My question to you though, were you ever fat?
Fat. That's a very broad
So let me
term.
clarify. I'm fat right now.
I don't know about that.
I'm fat. And I'm
Um,
certainly above on the on the body index rating. I'm obese actually, and I'm proud of myself. I've taken off about, where am I today? Maybe 25 pounds. Actually, it's more than that, 35 pounds right now. But it's still, again, it's a process. And I know for me that I need to acknowledge I'm not where I want to be. And nobody wants to say I'm fat, except in my instance, that motivates me. Because it
mm,
says, okay, as long as you recognize that, make a better choice at lunch, make a better choice in the morning, make a better choice at night. So have you ever thought you were fat?
no, I've never felt that I was fat. And I think we have to be careful because I know it's hard these days. Like like being PC all the time and you're going to offend somebody all the time. But like, I think there's this gray area where if, like you said, like you don't feel right in your own skin and only you can identify where your happy place is. And I think health is such a better way to think about it versus body weight. You
Which
know,
is exactly your slogan.
yeah, and I think that I actually agree with, there's a lot of people who are trying to normalize being obese and being okay with body image because we tend to swing the other way. Like, I have a lot to say on this, so I'm going to try to stay focused. But like, for
And
example,
by the way, offensive is my middle name, so you
got
won't
it.
offend any of
I
my
should have done my
viewers.
homework.
No,
Um,
you say whatever you want. They won't be offended. They like the truth.
Yeah, so the truth for me is that health overweight. That's my truth. But then it's like education comes with knowing what should you be okay with, because I think a lot of people don't even know. I think they eat so shitty and their diet is so bad, and they've never, when I started training, I'm like, but everybody knows this stuff. No. No, a lot of people don't know how to eat healthy, how much to exercise, what that means. And I think that I thought that that was normal, and it's not. So I think that I've always been really active. I've always been really athletic, but I was a lot bigger than I am now. I think let's just say I'm like a size 6 right now. I'm 5'10" and 163 pounds, but I'm very muscular and very athletic. So people like it when I share my height and weight, because I'm not afraid to like say I weigh this much, but also I share a lot about what I eat. But because of my job, I don't stop moving. This is as much as I sit down typically. And so my health looks different than your health. So you have to eat differently than I eat. I'm eating for energy. I know what my body feels like when I'm living life a little too much and I haven't been doing my cardio, or everybody's so unique. And then you throw in like all the blood work and the biology and like I said, the sleep patterns. And so there's just a lot of different things that contribute to being fat. Or feeling fat, right? But I don't like it when people say, my clients say like, "Oh, I'm so fat right now." Because I'm like, for females too, like we get on our period, and I feel not my best, because I'm PMSing, or I have water weight, or I want to eat junk. Like, there's just so much to talk about. But for me, I think health and muscles and energy all contribute to where you need to be so you're not feeling fat. I grew up in the 90s, and it was the Kate Moss era. And so I struggled with body image a lot because I have a lot of curves. And as we know now, that was before Kardashians, before Instagram, and people made fun of my butt and my muscles and this and that. Now people get surgery to have a body
To
like
look like you.
to look
Exactly.
like me. Yeah, and so it's interesting to me, like saying I feel fat or this and that, because I'm like, honestly, just take the body God gave you and make it as healthy and as functioning as you can. That's where I stand on it. But no, I've never felt fat before, but I do feel uncomfortable in my skin every now and then, depending on the situation.
Well, and let's expand on that because obviously things have changed and it's always cyclical. You take a look back to the Renaissance, and large women were celebrated. They're
Mm-hmm.
celebrated in paintings. They're celebrated in heck, even Queen celebrated them.
Yep.
So the
That meant health,
BMI
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Just because that was just a thing. I love everything that you stand for when you stand for health rather than any particular look. On the BMI, I'm 6'1", and on BMI, in order for me to be on the upper end of normal weight, I need to weigh 185. And I look back on my life, and maybe I was one in my below 190 when I was 18, but
Mm-hmm.
beyond that, get a little bit of muscle on me, and I'm already above BMI standards for being
Mm-hmm.
normal weight and overweight the moment I put any muscle on. So
Mm-hmm.
is BMI a fair way for people to determine whether they're obese or overweight, normal weight, underweight, or is BMI something that we have evolved previous BMI standards that they're just not pertinent anymore?
Yeah, I think it's a good baseline. I think it's a good starting point, like I said, of educating yourself and kind of like taking it all in. Like the fitness industry is hard because it's like, so, let's talk about like body fat percentage. There's so many different ways to calculate that on all of my different clients or somebody like yourself. And so I personally recommend one method, which is the DEXA scan, DEXA. And to me, that's the most accurate. Some trainers don't like to send their clients to get a DEXA scan because it's too accurate and it kind of sends them mentally in a spiral. So there's all these different schools of thought. But I think it goes back to what I said about making yourself feel the best, look the best, be comfortable in your own skin. Do you have the energy to go on a bike ride with your girlfriend and film 3 podcasts while also, redecorating your living room? Whatever it is that's making sure you're living your life to the fullest, let's find a baseline for that. So if yours is BMI and you're taking it, with a pincher or whatever, okay, that's your baseline. It doesn't mean good or bad. It's just like, this is where I'm starting. And then how am I deterring from that foundation, right? So if you start to feel one way or the other, you can just go back to your baseline and be like, okay, this is when I felt good. This is when I had energy. So how do I stick around this point? Does that make sense? It's like, you don't want to get so stuck on numbers or have some kind of unrealistic expectations and you're not living your life because you don't want to go to dinner because you're trying to meal prep. And I'm like, there's better ways to do it where you can be like, okay, this is a general area I want to stick around. And does that make sense? So whatever method that works for you, then it's like, how do I live? I'm training for my life. I'm not like living my life to train. So it's like, how do I stick around this baseline general area where I know I feel good, and then everything else kind of follows that.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
So you're level 40. I'm level 62 this year. I am right now researching actually getting some. I was playing racquetball every single day with my wife,
amazing.
and it was amazing. In July of last year, I got a pretty severe injury. Went in, got an MRI on my knees. Turns out I tore my meniscus in
Oh,
both knees. But that's what I get for playing racquetball with my very young wife.
mm,
Um, the challenge for me is when they did the MRI on it, and I said, "What's my options for treatment?" They said you can quit being a wimp and just stay off your knees and let your knees heal, or you can do these surgeries. And I'm not fond of surgery, so I said not no to that. I said I'll tough it out, see what happens. We're months later, and I'm still having the same pain. I went golfing with my sons the other day, and it hurt. So now I'm looking at stem cell and saying, is there something stem cell can do? I see you're communicating a lot non-verbally to me. So
I'm like,
give me
wait. I have an answer.
give me your take on that, because I so badly, Shannon, want to get back to playing racquetball. I
Yeah.
so badly want to get back to walking 6 miles a day with my wife and my family. And right now I cannot do it. If I walk 2 miles, I'm off my feet for 2 days and cannot sleep at night because I'm in so much pain. What
Mhm.
can I do?
Yeah, that's so frustrating. And I think a lot of people deal with stuff like that. And it just like deteriorates your quality of life and then it's frustrating. And like, it's just kind of like
No,
this
I'm positive if I was able to go back and play racquetball and walk again like I was before,
sounds
I'd
exhausting.
be back at 195 in a couple of months.
Yeah. So maybe look into pickleball too, because it's a little less lateral movement. Like you have more room to work with and the ball comes a little slower than
Yeah,
racquetball.
I don't think it's that, and I'll tell you the reason. We went and played golf on a par
No,
3
no, no.
golf
I'm
course.
saying after I tell you how to fix it. I'm saying
Good.
instead of racquetball, have your goal be to get back into pickleball, not racquetball. But for you, you should definitely before surgery, please look into PRP.
Yep,
So it's a step below stem cell. So
correct.
you don't stem cell is expensive. It's a little bit longer recovery. It's great, and it sounds like you have the resources and the connections to do that. But PRP is so wonderful. I had shoulder surgery on my shoulder, and I needed that because of my lifestyle, my career. But then I did the same thing to my hip. So I had a torn labrum in my hip, and it was just same as you. It was just like holding me back. I love running. I couldn't run anymore. It would ache. It would hurt. So I've on my second PRP, and it's like I have a whole new hip. So some people it works on, but they do it on joints, knees, elbows, wrists, like a lot of, like I'm telling you, it's so great. Find a doctor who knows what they're doing, does a lot of PRP, but they take your blood, they spin it, they inject it into the injury site. So you can do both knees, stay off of it for like 4 to 5 days, and then start back at your golf, start back slowly, see how it feels. On top of that, I would highly recommend. Now we're so lucky. If you can't afford PT or your insurance doesn't cover it, you can't make it regularly, just Google like after knee surgery exercises, and there'll be, so many YouTubes on it. Do those every day along with the PRP. I promise you probably don't even need surgery.
Good.
Yeah.
So you said two things. If you can afford it, because there's a lot of costs, and then some additional recovery from this actual stem cell. Do you have any clients that have utilized stem cell and had any success, or have they not had success? And can you speak on that?
Yeah, yeah. So part of training with a trainer like myself, like one of the top trainers in LA, New York, is that you have access to their vast network of, doctors and physios and acupuncturists, like anything my clients need. I'm like instantly can text somebody, and they prioritize my clients because they know me, they know, the level that I operate at. So that's one nice thing about having a trainer also, is that you have access to their network. For me, what I mentioned Dennis, and he, is in his early 60s, I believe. And we call it his bionic shoulder, that he had stem cell on. And then he's waiting to go do the other one because he just got busy. And he couldn't do them both at one time. So he's just like, wait till I get my second stem cell. Because I'm telling you, it's not just strength. You have to have the mobility in order to gain the strength. So if you don't have the mobility, then you can't, like you said, you can't lose the weight because you don't have the ability to
To
bear
walk?
weight on your knees, to walk, to feel mobile and fresh. And so yeah, I think it's a really good option. And I think just a lot of people don't know about how many uh, you know non-Western, we'll call it, options are out there. So people just want to go straight to surgery, and I just highly encourage people to research and ask around, and try different things instead of going straight to the surgery. It's not a
Sure.
bad option, but I'm so glad I got my surgery. But each injury is unique. So
Tell me about mindset. Tell me what's the mindset of somebody that stays healthy? Obviously, this is everything that you're teaching, sanity over vanity. What is the mindset that people need to step into to have a better life? I'm blessed. I've got a bride that is very health conscious, always been. In fact, maybe to the extreme, in my opinion. We're
mm.
surrounded by salt rocks and great essential oils and everything else. And again, I don't falter for it because it would be much worse if the essential oils that she was burning up was crack. So
Yeah.
thank you for eucalyptus. I appreciate that. But what is the mindset? What do I do other than me saying that's not me? I get all that. I get it. It's not me. I'm this person. But I watch my wife wolf down literally twice or three times the volume of food that I eat, and still weighs 99 pounds all the time. And
Yeah.
so, I look at her and I just shake my head and I say, there's got to be something in my body that has to shift because I'm barely eating, and I'm certainly not a couch potato. I'm moving around, but she
Yeah.
doesn't gain a pound. Tell me about the distinction between those people.
So that's two questions, right? So
Yes, it was.
mindset, and then no, it's okay because it goes hand in hand with my mindset answer. So many people I witness, it's like you're special because you could be like, fuck, like I gained all this weight, this is my life now, and you kind of go down that road. But from what I've heard, a little bit that I've heard from you, you sound very grateful. so it's like this attitude of gratitude. It's so cheesy, but it's a really good mantra to have, where it's like, no matter what is in front of you, you can either find the negative or you can find the positive. And I have a really unique backstory that when people find out about where I came from and how joyous I am and how motivated I am, it's just kind of like surprises them, because I think I could have gone one way or the other. So for motivation purposes and mindset purposes, when it comes to consistently training and prioritizing your health, I think that it's important to know there's people like you who gain weight really fast, and there's people like your wife who can eat 3 times her body weight and stay 90 pounds. And so I think it's like, you stay grateful for what you have and your ability to what you can focus on and what you can do, not what you can't do, and not comparing yourself to anybody else. So like my mom used to be like, I can't even, I need to start working out, and I could never run 3 miles, because that's kind of my normal, and I said, okay, so just go try a mile. And she's like, I can't. I go, okay, walk a mile. So people think that they have to live up to my workouts, or they have to live up to the people they follow on Instagram. And it's like, no, do what you can today. Be grateful for what you have today. And that's going to slowly start to lead you like, okay, today I'm going to walk half the mile, run half the mile. Like, staying positive and being like, wow, I did that so much faster than I did yesterday. I can't wait for tomorrow to see what I can do. I'm sore and I'm tired and I'm happy because I did my best, and not comparing yourself and being grateful are the 2 biggest life hacks. And you see it and you hear it all the time, but until you start living that way, then you're never going to get to where you want to be.
So tell people what the distinction between PRP and stem cell is, if you know.
Okay, so PRP, you take your blood and you take the good stuff out of it. I'm going to say really layman. You take the good stuff out of it and you inject it into the muscle or the tendon, whatever might be ripped, and it encourages it to start to repair itself. So it sends signals to the body where those certain blood cells are there. So they're like, okay, let's try to repair this spot. So it sends backup. Stem cell, you go into the bone and you take all the good juicy stuff out of there and you inject it into the injury site. And so it's like a one ups the blood. This is how I'm a trainer too. So I don't use a lot of like technical terms, because people stop listening. They're like, huh? And I'm like, squeeze your butt cheeks together like you want to crack something in between them, or somebody's going to put something up there and you don't want them to. You would love
Which is
my
a good
training.
policy all the way around. Yeah. So, talk to me about anti-aging, or keeping ourselves young and vital and healthy.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not embarrassed to be at level 62. I'm kind of proud of myself. I've lasted.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about some lifestyle changes to help people keep their vitality and their youthfulness.
Sleep is number one as we get older, and we're busy. You have kids, you have that. So like I take naps. Like I sleep like 6 to 7 hours a night, but I'm not afraid to take a nap. I'm not afraid to take rest days these days. That's something that really changed as I got older. I started therapy, talk therapy. I started being able to kind of get out of that fight or flight mode and really prioritize my mental health so I could be the best that I can be, for my friends, my family, my client, my job. Like we're just, as you get older and older, there's a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety, money, showing up for your wife, for your kids, trying to be everything to everybody. Knowing that it's okay to, put your oxygen mask on first and get what you need, I think really helps with the aging process, because it, takes a little sliver of the stress away. I know for me, I stay young by not being afraid to play. Like I'll jump on the playground with my, little nieces and nephews and all the kids in my life. I get down on the floor with them, like you're golfing with your sons. I think it's like really important to keep keep that youthful energy about you, and whatever that looks like. If you're out dancing, like I just see so many of my friends are like, oh, I'm 40 now. I'm like, that's okay. You can still do these things. It really is a mindset. And there's no societal expectations that you have to live up to because you're 40 or you're 50 or you're 60. It's like, if do what feels good for you, and don't be afraid of anybody's judgment because I'm wearing overalls and Converse and I'm 40. It doesn't matter. Like, do what makes you comfortable, do what makes you happy, and the rest will follow along. But yeah, I sleep. I have a purpose. I think that really helps stay young. I have a routine, I say no a lot more, I think that's really important and goes back to
What do you say no to?
anything that doesn't fall under the umbrella of my goals and my happiness. I think when I was younger, I was more of a people pleaser, and I tried to be everything to everybody. And as I've gotten older, like they say, like you've probably experienced it, but like I'm as hot as I've ever been because I'm just so confident and I have so much life wisdom, and I'm like less worried about what anybody thinks of me and more focused on my dreams and my goals. And I think that internal confidence comes out, and I exude that physically. So it goes hand in hand.
You're talking a lot about mindset, obviously, lifestyle in general. When I was young, we were extremely poor.
Mhm,
And I remember the moment actually that I said, I'm going to figure this money thing out. I
mhm,
watched my mother get her first Social Security check. I saw her open the envelope and I saw her burst into tears when she
mhm,
looked at the dollar amount, realizing she wasn't going to survive on that she was going
mhm,
to have to work until she dropped dead because she
mhm,
had no retirement. And
mhm,
so for me, that was the moment the switch got flipped financially. And
mhm,
I said, I'm going to become good at money.
mhm,
And I became good at money. And I've made over $600 million in that process. When I started having babies, I went into a semi-retirement. And I have a son 13, a son 11, and a daughter 9.
wow.
And I went into semi-retirement, didn't care, wasn't on stage, wasn't paying attention. So beyond the open heart surgery, I certainly know that I went through a mental shift of how very important my physical appearance was to me then. What
Mhm.
would you say to somebody? How would you inspire anybody at any age? Because it's not because I was 50 or 60, or it's not even because I had kids or was going into semi retirement. I know that I went through a mental shift in my brain and started wearing Tommy Bahama shirts, which, by the way, are really bad for men's waistlines because they hide way too much. And then I just didn't care. And, now that I'm coming back out of semi retirement, my brain says, okay, time to get back. And so I confess, if it were me and it had nothing to do with anything else, I'm not sure that I would care as much as the guy that was me headlining on stage in Vegas. And so, it's really essential for me to make the leap. One of the reasons I wanted you on the show so much was to make the leap from thinking that I need to be a specific body type to, do better business than the me thinking I need to have a specific body just because I want to spend more time with my kids.
Mm,
So, what is, how do you, if you had a client like me, and I don't mean to hog your time, and I'm not looking for a free session. I just happen to know that I've got a lot of viewers and people that, follow me that are in similar circumstances. We are leveling up and we want to have healthier bodies. Except I'm positive, and I know you know this because that's why your slogan is what it is,
mhm.
sanity over vanity. How does a person make that leap and stop making it about vanity and say, no, I'm going to eat better today because I want my body to function better, and I want to spend more time on this plane with the people I care about doing the things that I care about? How do you get your client to make that mental shift?
Yeah, so I'm blessed because a lot of my clients that reach out to me they've already done it and they just need a little support to stay consistent with that decision, right? But what I hear you saying is like, how do I find motivation and keep that motivation? Because that's what's going to kind of, it's like we've all kind of started, stop. Like my thing I experience with money, what you experience with physical fitness, to me, that's the easy part. Like, I don't want to look at my bank account. I'll go run 10 miles instead. So we all have our thing, and a lot of people's thing is staying healthy. So lucky for me. So I'm hearing you say, how do I find this motivation? And this motivation is going to be different for everybody. And that's what I said at the very beginning of this show is, everybody's different. So some people, it's like having cute outfits and having a community at the gym. For some people like you, it sounds like you're trying to keep up with your wife and your sons, and you have to remind yourself constantly, like, I don't want to look back and regret not doing the little everyday things that I could have done in order to be the best person I could be for the people I love the most. So it's like sometimes we can't, like, I don't want to do my own dishes, but if I go to somebody's house for dinner, do you know how happy I am to do their dishes? Because it makes them happy. Like that, I'm internally motivated for other people more than I am myself. Like it's easier to show up for the people you love and respect more, sometimes more than it is for yourself, right? So it's like all those silly tricks you've heard every fitness person say for a million years is like, find a workout buddy, like you and your wife playing racquetball together or handball or
Yep.
whatever, once you get healthy. Have your weekly golf date with your sons. So you don't want to, like, you're not going to go out and drink and party and get bad sleep because you got to be fresh for your guys, for your boys. There's just so many different things. Start going to classes and make some connections there, and people are going to be like, hey, I didn't see you in class. Like there's just so many different people hire me. They can work out on their own, but they don't want to, like, lose their money if they cancel on me. They don't want me to be disappointed in them. There's just so many different, like, motivation things that you can do to make sure you stay consistent. And I hear you saying, like, what is your why? Like, what is going to be the thing that, they say discipline over motivation. And so eventually you get to this point where it's like the alarm goes off and I don't want to get up, but my motivation is gone. I'm like, I look good. I'll sleep in today. Like I'll eat crappy. I'm PMSing this day, but it's like at some point there has to be a shift within yourself. Would be like, nope, this is my routine. Like this is what I'm doing. And I know so my last thing I'll say is once you get past that point, your brain reminds you, yeah, you don't want to do it, but you know how good you're going to feel after. And it's that 1% better to that ultimate goal of where you want to be. So it's like, find your motivation and then stay disciplined on that path. And then hang in there knowing that you'll eventually start to see results that will remotivate you and remind you of where you're trying to get to. It's hard though. We all do that. So it's like all these little tricks work.
Obviously, there's only one of you, and no matter how excellent you are, which by the way, I'm very grateful that you chose to be on the show today.
Oh my gosh.
Because there's only one of you, what does that look like as far as being able to reach as many people as you can? Is it a supplement line? Is it books? Is it training videos? Is it a training app? What does it look like for you?
Thank you for asking.
You
Yeah,
mentioned you were listening about the money when I was chatting, but while we were working out the tech stuff, you said, "Yeah, I could have listened to the money stuff." And
yeah,
my experiences and my clients are people like you that are excellent at what they do and have phenomenal results at what they do, yet may not know how to monetize that at the levels that they should be. And so
correct.
I'm always fascinated because as a hypnotist, which is the core of my work, it's what I am, it's who I am. Most hypnotists are broke, and it's kind of like, healer, heal thyself.
Yeah,
Hypnotist, hypnotize thyself.
yeah.
And people ask me, couldn't you hypnotize yourself to become slender again? Yeah, I can. I'm starving myself right now, and
Hmm.
yet I also
Don't
know
starve yourself.
that's not working.
Mm-mm.
And so again, it's the same thing. When I take a look at people that I can see, you're a product of the product. And when Dr. Phil sells his fat loss book, I'm going, dude, you didn't write that book because you didn't read that book, and I know you didn't write that book.
Mhm.
And so I'm always a little bit surprised when people attempt to do something they're not necessarily doing themselves. You're doing it. So what does the next level of your career look like? Are you writing some books? Do you have a nutritional line or supplement line, or where are you?
Yeah, thank you. And that everything you said is so true. And I think that there's a lot of different things like that came into play where I had to, you have to believe in yourself before anything. So a lot of people believed in me and I wasn't there yet. I had a lot of growth and healing to do on my own. So sometimes I beat myself up because it's like, there's so much potential there to monetize, like you said. And I'm like, nope, my path is my path. And I had to get where I am and I'm ready now. So I I think a lot of it was turning 40. Like I'm like, okay, now or never. And I think that, I used to psych myself out and be like, oh, I started so late in life because I was an elementary school teacher and I went to nursing school. And then I found training through, like I said, kind of a wild story. And so people don't want to learn from 22-year-olds whose metabolism is crazy and they have a banging body. I'm like, yeah, you're 22. Like, so I think there's just so much possibility for me now that I understand my own power and my own capabilities. So I've been working really hard on an app. So anybody can train with me anytime throughout the world. That'll launch by summertime. And then, so that's really exciting. It's the Shannon Shape app. You can do like, you know, gym or home. I filmed all the videos. I customized all the workouts. You could say, I want to train 3 days a week at the gym. There'll be something for you. A busy mom will say, I want to train 7 days a week at home and all I have is dumbbells. There's something for her. After that, part of my job will be adding in follow along workouts. So I could say, oh, let's get ready for summer together. And people will be able to join a challenge on my app. There'll be nutrition. There'll be just every mindset. There'll be hormonal tracking and advice, like lots of different things on the app. So I'm excited about that. It's coming together. It's been a labor of love. Like I cannot sit in front of a computer. Like it's so hard for me. So all these spreadsheets, I cry. I finally, you would be proud of me. I hired somebody on Fiverr to put my data in. I was like, enough of this. I can't do it. So that's exciting. And then one of my other passions is fashion. I always joke, nobody wants to know about my workouts. They want to just know what pants I'm wearing. So I'm also working hard on a passion project that will be an athleisure line. So that's coming along, and that's like what I go to bed thinking about and wake up thinking about. I'm not going to lie. So the fitness is like kind of like riding a bike to me. I love it. It's my foundation, but the athleisure line is what really excites me. And then other than that, like who knows about supplements down the line. I'm really interested in products, equipment, making it a little bit more bougie and cute compared to what you would buy in Target. Probably everybody that I talk to that really gets to know me, they're like, your life is a movie. I can't wait for your book to come out. So, there's a lot. I'm just excited about life. And I think the thing that I can really say to you and say publicly that I haven't really said out loud is that I really believe in myself and there's nothing that I can't do. And it's just taking daily steps towards that goal. And that's the most exciting thing about life. I think before I was just in survival mode and I was doing things, based off of a different motivation than I am now. And it makes me really excited. So.
What prompted the move back to LA?
Oh, great question. So I love the East Coast. I basically blew up my life. I was training 10 people a day, celebrities, top of the game. And I started hearing God whispers and I ignored them. It's the best way I could explain it, where it's just kind of like,
Get it.
Yeah, people either get it or they don't. And I was like, God, I do not want to move to New York. I'm a West Coast girl. Like everything is here. Nothing was wrong. And they wouldn't go away. And I try to pay attention to my intuition and the God whispers. And it's really guided me throughout my life with decisions. And so I said, okay. So I started to kind of explore that. And it was green light after open door. So now it makes sense. I did a year in New York. I'm so happy I did. But I was looking to stay there for another year because I loved it so much. And I was really gaining a lot from the experience. But I didn't want to look back and regret not being around my family more. My dad just retired. My sister is in a serious relationship. My little brother is on his own doing his thing. My grandma is still alive. They all live in Santa Barbara area. So now that I'm in LA, I can go up for dinner. I can be there so much, and my whole family is there. I have an incredible network of friends in LA, and clients that came back to train with me already, even though I'd been gone a year. So yeah, I think that not regretting family and not regretting not being around family, and then also taking the leap of faith to launch the app, work on the clothing line, and not be stuck in the day-to-day grind of training. That's the hardest thing for me financially. I'm really used to everyday money, and I'm like, I have to be okay budgeting for a little bit, refocusing in order to surpass what I've been making in person through the businesses that I'm going to launch.
So if somebody were to want to train with you and
Mhm.
have you as their trainer, be a client of yours, what would they pay you?
So I'm $200 an hour.
You're too cheap.
I'm too cheap.
I agree.
Oh, I don't know about that. The going rate nowadays in LA is about 75 to 150, depending on the experience, depending on the gym. And it's so funny, Marshall, when I was at 150, I offered packages, but I had my own gym in my house, private, high-end, lots of experience, high-end clients, and I couldn't fit any more clients in. And so I had to raise my prices. And the only reason I could mentally wrap my brain around asking for 200 an hour and no longer offering packages is because I had to, and so that I wouldn't keep saying yes to more clients because I was physically exhausted and mentally exhausted.
Right.
Everybody kept saying yes. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I get what you're saying where you have to know your worth, but that's like top of the top in
Yeah,
LA.
it's not even knowing your worth. It's also understanding that if your dance card is filled,
Yeah.
you've got a lot of people that wanna dance with you. The
Yeah.
ones that wanna dance with you, they don't care whether it's 200 or
Gotta pay
250 or
up.
300. Well, it's not even again, and I love you so much because you're honest, you're
Yeah.
authentic, and
Yeah.
you're beautiful in that authenticity. If you were a guy, I would tell you the same exact thing. You're
Mhm.
beautiful in that authenticity. It's not that they have to pay up. It's that that's what's required to train with you.
Yeah.
And so, as a gift back to you, because you gave me the gift of being on this show, my recommendation, whenever I don't want to do something,
Mhm.
whenever I don't do private hypnotherapy clients anymore. I
Mm.
can do just fine. I'll produce a result unlike anything, way better than anybody else could possibly produce. I just
Mm.
don't want to do private sessions anymore. So if
Mm.
somebody comes and badgers me and says, "Hey, I want to do a private session with you," I say, "Great. It's $60,000 for the one-on-one session." That's a lot of money. Yes,
Mhm.
it is.
Mhm.
Okay, that's fine. What day can I come? Now I
Mhm.
want to do it. Now I want to train them. But here's the thing, and this is the other piece. If somebody's paying me 60,000 versus 6,000 for an hour's of my time, they're gonna pay better attention. We are gonna
For
get better
sure.
results.
For
So
sure.
I'm telling you, for your clients' sake,
They
you
value it.
should.
Yeah.
Yes, they'll value it more. They'll be more likely to show up, and they'll be
Mhm.
more likely to follow through.
Mhm.
And my experience has been, and I'm one of those people, by the way, that there are people that won't buy your services because you don't charge enough. And
For
they'll
sure.
say, and especially celebrities, that's how
Mhm.
celebrities think. Is that
Mhm.
people that make a lot of money, they say, well, heck, if they're only charging what everybody else charges, they must only be what everybody else is.
Right.
And so that's just my 2 cents for whatever
I
it's
love
worth.
it. I love it. That's
You
good advice.
well, again, you are loved. How do people get a hold of you and how would they interact with you? I see a lot of people in the chat saying, "How do I get a hold of Shannon? How can I find out more and potentially be your client?"
Aw, yeah, so I'm big on Instagram. So I try to answer all my DMs. So it's Shannon Shape, SHAPE. And I have a website. Yeah, I'm like, just text me. Here's my number. No, just kidding. I'm like, if you see me on the street, wait. No, so Instagram DM is the best way to get a hold of me. And like I said, it's like usually word of mouth. So I'm constantly checking my messages and try to like I love Instagram. I know there's good and bad things about it, but and TikTok I'm not on as much. Just because I'm used to Instagram. So but I think it's just so good to there's so much more positive than negative. I know that you can compare yourself to people, but it allows me I'm active on there because people like seeing what I'm up to, and it kind of keeps that connection because we're all so busy. So if I'm not on Instagram for a while, people will message me and be like, are you okay? Is everything good? So I like connecting on there, and I try to, it's me answering it. Nobody runs it for me. So yeah.
Well, I love it. You have been an absolute delight. I didn't realize time was flying by
I
so quickly.
know.
I could talk to you for hours. I appreciate you giving me some
Same.
insight into my own life and my own health. And I
Yeah.
know all of the viewers also feel the same way. So thanks for being on the show. God bless. And I look forward to meeting you very soon in person. You are a welcome guest at any of our live events that we do in Vegas every other month. And I
Okay.
look forward to that time.
Thank you so much, Marshall. So nice to meet you. And thank you to your audience and for having me.
You too. Take care, Shannon. Bye now. We have the best guest. Hey, I am about to go out and do an appointment regarding the stem cell therapy on my knees. I've been in great pain over the weekend. So that wraps up today's show. Glad you were with me. You have an absolutely awesome day. Remember, we are in this thing together, and always remember to celebrate life. God bless. You take care, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hey there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Silver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show coming up 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. I'm going to give you content, information, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice for having it all. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. So stay tuned.